Greetings from a fishing village on the Atlantic coast. You've tuned in to podcast Port Wen, celebrating the world of Doc Martin unofficially. I'm Chesley Wexler, and we'll be discussing Doc Martin, the medicine, the mayhem, and the marvelous people of Port Wen. Today we welcome Anneke, who's joining me from the Netherlands. She's a know-it-all fan, which means she's watched Doc Martin at least once, and I'll say she's a super fan as well. We'll be discussing Dokter Tinus, the Dutch version of Doc Martin. Anneke, come through and welcome to podcast Port Wen.
Hello everybody.
It is great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining from way over there.
Yep, we're already at night now.
Yes. It was interesting to negotiate a time that would work for both of us because we're
Yes,
6
indeed.
hours apart. And we met online through Doc Martin.
Yeah, and through fan fiction as well.
That's correct. Yep. And you have experience with more than one version of Doc Martin.
I really have experience with that because everybody who knows me as a fan fiction writer of how to deal with this bloody phobia knows that I did some research with doctors with blood phobias all over the world. But of course, the best experience I have is with the original Doc Martin and the Dutch spin-off or version, which is called Dokter Tinus. So you have a Dokter Tinus over here. This is my little
There he is.
DVD box. I only have the DVDs of series 1 to 3, but in the Netherlands we had 6 series, which covers approximately until series 7 of the original. Well, they had, just like Best Medicine in the US, the first series were actually quite a copy of the original Doc Martin. But after, let's say, the episode where Martin is kidnapped, I would say it is different in the Netherlands.
Really? So they must have gotten permission to deviate from the script.
I assume so, because, well, in the Dutch version, Lisa, with the blonde Louisa, I would say, she is really leaving for Spain and doesn't come back. So they are separating. It's really a sad thing, but in the very last series, the dog finds another love interest.
Really? That's dramatically different.
It's dramatically different from that moment on. But the first episodes are really, really a copy.
Which did you watch first? Was it your version or was it Doc Martin from England?
It was our version, and I really accidentally discovered that it was based on a series in the UK. I already watched a lot of other UK originated series like Midsummer, Call the Midwife, etc. But so I was thinking, well, I'm going to look for the original. And then actually I really stumbled across fan fiction first.
Okay.
I started to read fan fiction first, and then, well, I was so intrigued that I also ordered the DVDs of series 1 to 5, which was actually all the series that were existing at that time. And they were filming series 6 when I watched the first 5. And then, well, from that on, I watched everything from Doc Martin, but also of Dokter Tinus. So I followed the series, both series actually. Yeah. And here in the Netherlands, when there are some series that we can directly follow on the BBC television.
Okay.
And then now you can switch on the subtitles in any program you're streaming or you're watching, which is very good because sometimes it still is difficult to understand what they are saying because they're concatenating words directly after another word, so you can't follow it. And especially when I watch with my husband, he prefers to have the subtitles on because also his hearing is getting a little bit worse.
We find that we put the subtitles on more often than not, even with shows in the US, but we certainly had them on for almost even the British shows, just because it's the same language, but there's accents and there's regional differences and there's turns of phrases that we don't use, so they make sense, there, but they don't make sense to us.
I have stayed in Port Isaac in 2022 with 3 American ladies. And well, instead of hearing a lot of British English. I I heard a lot of American English, of course.
Right. Yes. And depending on where they're from, they'll have regional accents and certainly different speaking speeds depending on what part of the United
Yes,
States they're from.
absolutely.
Now, after watching Dr. Tinus, I want to say Tinus, what motivated you? I mean, it sounds like you have seen other English series, so
Mhm.
you were just curious about it to see what it was like, or
You mean the original Doc Martin? Well, my motivation was British people can do these things much better than we do. So that's why I wanted to watch it. And I really was hooked right from the beginning. And the subtlety of the humor that Martin has in this series, and everybody, by the way, it is not, it's never, nowhere else seen. So in Dr. Tinus, which is nice, is that the storylines are very similar,
Mhm,
but and they what also is good, they integrated some really typical Dutch things, a bit like best medicine, but less
mhm.
exaggerated. So it is really more a copy of Doc Martin. The doctor is also really grumpy, and they even found an equivalent of the word tosser in Dutch.
Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, we haven't seen that yet in Best Medicine. We haven't gotten that yet.
No, I don't think it will be there in if they don't do it now, then it will never be in it, I suppose. But I don't know if tosser is really a word that an average British person uses now. I don't think so.
I don't know.
But the same for the word that they came up with in the Netherlands. It is koekert,
Okay.
which means something like a strange cookie or something like
Okay.
that.
Yes. I'll leave it to the audience to look up what tosser means in England.
Yeah, I know, I know.
We we keep this a clean show if we can.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Has Dr. Tinus won awards?
No, I don't think so. It has been popular the first three series, but after that, it also at some point was not renewed because of the people who were not interested in it anymore as much, and so they didn't do it. But it was also filmed in a nice old small little town. It was deliberately, I think it was deliberately not filmed at the seaside, which we have relatively a lot, seaside.
Yes.
But at the
Yes.
same time, there was also a television series called Dokter Dane, which was a woman, and she lived on one of the little islands that you have in the north of the Netherlands. So that was automatically a seashore. So I
Mhm.
think they chose for an inland riverside little village. But there
Okay.
is
So
water. And there is a castle in the neighborhood, and I have visited it. It's not. It's 40 minutes from where I live, or something like that.
okay. Is there a fishing theme, or like do a lot of the people who are in the show participate in fishing as an occupation, or
Well, not. It is not possible there on the river side. Well, of course you have angle fishing, so with but not professional ones, but which is quite Dutch as well. You see him every day going to a kind of like the little van that Al has at the end. Well, in the Netherlands, you have a lot of these kind of vans, a little bit bigger, that sell fish in smaller towns. And the Netherlands is really small, so from where it was filmed to The Hague, the coastal countryside, it's maybe 1 hour drive, not much.
okay.
That's also because when I go on holidays, either in England or or in France, within 1 hour, I have been in three countries.
That's
In my own
really neat.
country, in Belgium, in France.
Nice. That's great.
So that's we go abroad a lot because
Yeah.
it's not far away.
Sure. Sure. Now, with respect to Dr. Tinus, it looks like there's a Louisa type character. I did a little
Hmm.
quick glance at it. It looks like there's also sort of a Mark Milo, Joe Penhale, Constable
Yeah,
Ken, is it?
Ken. He is
And
called Ken.
okay. And does he go through similar things as Milo and Penhale?
Yes, but there is no switch, so it's always Ken.
Okay.
all the series. So he is a stable factor in the series, but he is same. There is a same dynamic duo effect like they have in well, from the point of view of the policeman
Right.
in Doc Martin. So yeah, he is always a kind of sidekick of the Doc. He helps the Doc, but he's also not the most intelligent person of the whole village.
Okay. And does Tinus, does he like the fact that he's got this dynamic duo partner, or is he sort of like
Similar reaction as the Doc.
okay.
So he is also more than what I now see from Dr. Best.
Mhm.
Tinus was just like Martin Ellingham, quite as an individualist. Love to being alone. I don't remember that he also did clocks, but
Okay.
I don't know what he spent his time with, other than Louisa, of course, or Lisa. She's called Lisa in the Netherlands. But this relationship is also built up in the same way as it is in Doc Martin.
Do they get married?
They do get married, but in the end they separate.
Do they have children?
Yes, they have Harry,
Okay. So one child.
one boy. But they never got to series 10 because they stopped after series 6. But each series had a lot more episodes. At the end of series 1, it was like in the middle of series 2 from Doc Martin.
Okay. I did notice that you had 72 episodes and Doc Martin has 79, so it's really not that far off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Now, wait,
that's true. But
yeah.
it only ran between 2012 and 2017.
Okay.
A much shorter period of time, or
I think
that they took the filming, etc.
the rumor mill has it that Doc Best Medicine, it sounds like they're targeting about a 5 season run, but they're doing 13 episodes this season, so presumably that'll give them 65 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's see what if it will be commissioned enough to continue
Yep.
for 5.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. Now you said that Dr. Tinus had a love interest after Lisa.
Mhm.
Was she equivalent to Edith Montgomery, or was she just, a
No. I don't think, I really can't remember if there was a kind of a Edith, but she only came into the series after Lisa left.
okay, all right,
Lisa has never seen, I don't even remember the name, but she was the mayor of the city, the town.
interesting.
And it was only, so I think that they wanted to continue, but the last episode of series 6 for me was a clear ending of the series. Huh? So it
Okay,
was
all
a
right, that's good. They
logic
didn't
stop.
leave it hanging, which is nice. Yeah.
No cliffhangers.
Now, for your research in different Doc Martin in different countries,
Yeah.
did you watch episodes in other
Yes,
countries,
I
or did you just?
watched, and I even bought the DVD of the first series of Doc Martin Le Fol, who is the French guy. I think he is called Martin Napoleon Le Fol, his first name and his family name. But that was right from the beginning quite different from our Doc Martin and Dr. Tinus, because the doc appears to have somewhere a son of about 12 years old
Hmm.
who is already coming in the first year. So it is a long time ago that I see it, so I do not know many details of it anymore. But that was really a difference. And I also watched the 1 or 2 episodes I could find on YouTube of the Spanish version, and
Okay.
it was also quite different. And in both series, both the French and the Spanish, there's always a dog. Also in the Dutch version, by the way. But the French one, he is quite friendly with the dog, so the dog can come in the house. And by the way, the dog, Dr. Martin Le Fol, also drinks wine.
Okay.
It's not.
So he's
It's
doesn't stay
quite
away from
different.
alcohol.
But there,
Yeah.
it is really a nice little village at the at the
Okay.
coast of Brittany, so the west point of France. And the
I
German
found one
version.
episode, yeah, the German version. I did find the first episode, and they even used the music. I mean, it's identical.
Okay, that don't remember, but I really did not really. I didn't really like the German dog. He was like a, a kind of not so healthy person as our preferred dog, because both Best Medicine Doc and Doc Martin, but also Dokter Tinus, they are really fit and healthy. Eh? And the German one didn't look like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He wasn't really overweight. I was just laughing when I watched it because he doesn't fly in, he takes a train in, but it's the same sort of thing. He's looking out the window.
And in the Netherlands, they also have the train because, of
Yeah,
course, there is no flight from
yes.
Amsterdam to Workum.
That's right. Why would you do
It's
that,
only
right?
40 kilometers or something.
Maybe a helicopter, you know? But the music was the same. He's looking back at Louisa and he walks into the door. It's like all these different. I was like, oh my gosh, this
Yeah,
is
it's really a
identical.
copy. But
Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I don't think that the Germans were really enthusiastic about their own version. Eh?
Believe they might. I mean, I think it won an award according to Nikki, who I'll give a shout out to Nikki. She's my Facebook friend as well, and she's the one who gave me the link, I think, to Dr. Martin.
Okay,
And I believe that the actor won an award for his portrayal.
okay,
Um,
okay. I
yeah.
don't know.
So
I did not do well, and there are others that I just found that there was a series, but I didn't find any watchable episode of it. So
yeah.
basically, I watched the Spanish one, the full series of the French one, the first series. I think they made 3. Of course, all 6 of Dr. Tinus and all 10 series of Doc Martin. Many,
Wow.
many times.
Yes, yes. I'm with you there. I've watched it for different reasons several times. So like the first time it was I just enjoyed the show, and then the second time I think I was watching for the funny names because someone told me that these funny
Yeah,
names are in
yeah.
there.
Iona
And then I
Castle.
think the third time I was watching for facial expressions because the understated humor and so much is carried off just with the lift of an eyebrow
Which I
or
miss a
just
bit in Best Medicine, eh? To be honest.
yes, yeah. Best Medicine, they're definitely leaning into a very broad comedic sense, and
Yeah, yeah.
I I personally prefer something more subtle. I've never been an American sitcom fan, but well, this
And Dr. Tinus, he has also quite an expressive face, which you can. He is, by the way, more or less smiling here. Can you see?
yes, yes,
But he has quite an worked a lot with his eyes. There were subtleties as well, and also there's one episode of Dr. Tinus that I really prefer over the same episode of Doc Martin.
really.
Although there are really lovely phrases in that episode in Doc Martin, it is the episode where you have the badger burning lady, City Slickers it's called,
Yes.
and they really portrayed this awful little spoiled boy better in the Dutch version.
My gosh, that's amazing because boy, I
And
hated that little
they also
kid.
gave him a funny name because Doc Martin is just simply called Sam.
Right.
But they also, which went really well with those posh city people coming to a country village, and their son was called Tifidor, like a
Tifidor.
Greek
Just
name or something like that.
right. Oh goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very snooty.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was really, and you see this boy also taking a mustache on a picture of Lisa in the school and things.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Which is funny, and which is, by the way, also something a Dutch child would do.
Yep.
It was really a nice episode in Dr. Tinus.
That's great. That's great. It's fascinating to hear this. It's a little exposure to the global popularity of Doc Martin.
I think that the first time I was in the UK, I brought a DVD of Dr. Tinus and I gave it to the production team.
Very nice.
to give to Martin and Philippa, but because you don't know if they have seen it or if they have the DVDs or whatever. So it
Yeah.
is, and anyway, maybe not all those production people. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you get the sense that Philip is quite on top of like every business aspect of Buffalo Pictures, and
I
this
can
is
imagine. It is
quite a
mentioned on the
franchise,
back.
right?
It is mentioned on the back.
Is it?
Buffalo Picture. There's the logo of Buffalo Picture on the back the the DVD.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's, the global reach of the show. It's been, reacted in different countries. The original's been dubbed and just rebroadcast. People
Mm-hmm.
have used the same scripts. They've used the same music. They've written their own music. They've written their own scripts. So it's really, people who are watching Best Medicine now shouldn't think that this is the only time this has been done. It's been done in numerous countries because it is such a classic, excellent show.
I know that we haven't had Doc Martin here on our local television, but in Belgium they did not have an origin, so they broadcasted Doc Martin as well.
Okay.
Many years after the first time I saw Doc Martin, then suddenly Belgian broadcasters broadcasted also Doc Martin. So then I could see it with Flemish subtitles, which was very funny.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
But Flemish is also Dutch. Huh? It's the
Okay.
same language, but like the difference between the US and the UK, there are words that are used differently or
Hmm.
other words. But the funny thing is that between here and Antwerp, for instance, there's only 80 kilometers or something. So
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
say 60 miles.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
That's nothing.
One of the things that I find most difficult in the fan fiction that I write is making sure that my idioms are correct. Because, of course, I'm writing in English, but I'm writing a British TV show
Yeah,
in English, being an American English speaker, and I have to make sure that every one of my idioms works. Anneke, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed
there is.
learning a little bit more about you and about the series. I hope people have appreciated seeing the international presence of Doc Martin. If you like this
Sure.
episode, please like it and subscribe to the feed, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining Podcast Port When. Podcast Port When is an independent fan production, not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by Buffalo Pictures, ITV, Fox, or the creators of Doc Martin or Best Medicine.